We're gonna go super Asian today, guys.
Hi, my name is Chandra, and I'm from Spartanburg, South Carolina.
My name is Daniel Choi, originally from Atlanta, Georgia.
Hi, my name is Noreen Singh, and I'm currently in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and work also in Aurora, Colorado.
My name is Andrew Han, and I go by my last name, Han.
Hi, my name is Hien. I am a full-time photographer, and yeah, I live in Denver.
So growing up in the South, coming from two different cultures, was very unique because I obviously didn't look like everyone in the South. A lot of people in the South, it's largely white or black. And so being Asian was really unique.
My experience as an Asian American male has been, for lack of a better term, has been rough, especially growing up in the South. So I grew up in a city called Macon, Georgia. I was one of the few Asian kids, probably, maybe there was 5 or 10 Asian kids.
And I always knew for a very young age that I was one of the very few in my class that looked like me or had the same skin tone as me, and I never really understood why that was the case.
Growing up as an Asian American, for me, it was kind of crazy to kind of look back. Like now that I'm older and I understand like the implications with like race and everything, I can kind of view different parts of my life and see like, damn, like I can't believe I went through that, you know? And I didn't notice what race was or like how big of a problem it was until I got older.
Oh, so I actually was born and raised in Vietnam. I came to the United States when I was 10. So I've been in Denver, pretty much would say Denver native for 18 years. So, you know, unlike everybody else, I got a chance to have both experience. You know, going to school in Vietnam up to until 4th grade. I can write, I can read in Vietnamese. Then I came here with absolutely zero English, zero. So yeah, it was definitely a big culture shock. It was a big different transition. You know, at a 10-year-old kid who doesn't even understand, you know, why did my mom, you know, decided to move us here to a whole different world.
Absolutely. So funny story, I now go by Chandra, but originally I used to go by my first name, Tiffany.
Asians trying to assimilate too, even my name. My parents named me like the most generic, like American name too. And so like throughout my whole life, I've met so many other Andrews that I now go kind of by my last name just to get away from. And it's cool to embrace your heritage too.
So I rejected my culture a lot after that experience of constantly being lumped in, and it wasn't until college where I met these wonderful people, and they were part of the Vietnamese student organization. And I saw how passionate they were to be Vietnamese, and I'm like, wow, this is cool, because they were a group, they were dancing, they were having fun, and I'm like, how can they be so proud of their culture when it's brought nothing but hardships for me?
I turned on the TV, I remember seeing the image of the Twin Towers falling, and overlaid with that image was a bearded man who had a turban. And I couldn't help but look at the TV and see an image that almost looked like my dad, who, as a Sikh family, we keep our hair, and the men in our family wear a turban and have beards. And it definitely made me wonder what trajectory the nation was going to go on that day. To my disappointment, there was violence that broke out all across the United States. One of my good friends had their driveway vandalized a few days after 9/11, and that was when I started to have some really tough conversations about race. What does that look like? Because now, the new enemy of the country had become someone that looked like my family.
I remember we had to do this thing called bracing. And bracing is basically rolling your shoulders back, putting your chin in, and you are pretty much at the command of the upperclassmen. You have to do whatever the upperclassmen gotta say. And we say, sir, yes, sir, or if it's a female, ma'am, no, ma'am, ma'am, yes, ma'am, whatever. And I remember I was bracing, and one of the upperclassmen, he came out of nowhere. He was like, hey, Choi, I'm gonna nuke your fucking room. And I was laughing because I was like, what the? I was so confused. And then he was like, Choi, you're a North Korean spy. We're gonna nuke your room just like I'm gonna nuke your people.
And literally some other kids come up to me and they just literally just come up and be like, ching chong, ching chong, ching chong, and then they walk away. Yeah. And so like as a little kid, you don't know what to do. You like freeze up and you're like, why? Like you don't get it. Like that's like your first experience to like, oh, maybe I am different. And so growing up, it's hard to kind of like accept being an Asian American, you know?
And I remember taking my mom into the airport to get her paperwork and her badges done, and the airport lady who was the front desk looked at me and said, why are you here? And I said, you know, I'm helping my mom, I'm translating for her. Growing up as any kids, you will always, that's your daily task, is to translate for your parents, take them to the hospital, take them to their doctor's appointment. That's just part of what our duties are. And, you know, and that's what I did. And the lady said, well, if she doesn't speak English, why is she here? And as a 17-year-old, like I froze. I didn't know what to do. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm not gonna argue. We're here, look, we're applying for a job. Like for me, my mentality is like, no, like I don't wanna cause problem, like just, you know, and growing up now, I'm like, if it was me back then, like if I know what I know now, I was, you know, that wouldn't have happened.
I find myself to connect with a lot of people because I've gone through all these hardships, and through them I found another rekindling and love for my culture, and a reminder of why I love my family and why I look up to my mom and my dad when they were growing up in America and had nothing, and what makes them unique. And it's because of their culture that they were allowed to push through all those hardships, because they were like, hey, I came from something else that was way harder than anything America could throw at me. And I'm like, cool, I'm gonna take that pride and make it my own.
The Lunar New Year is about good luck. Growing up, I was ashamed of who I was. Now, at the age of 25, about to be 26 in about 6 days, I realize there's nothing to be ashamed of who I am. Whether it's my personality, the way I look like, what I've done in the past, and I also shouldn't be ashamed of my ethnicity, who I am.
Courage. So for those of you who don't know about the Sikh faith, we're known as spiritual soldiers. So not afraid to be peaceful, but at times when there's injustice happening, not being afraid to fight back. That's what our history says, and that's what our faith dictates. And so for me, the greatest, lesson I've learned from my faith is to never be afraid. No matter what that ends up looking like, to always go into any situation super confidently and knowing that if you're on the right side of history, everything will usually work out.
I'm really proud that I actually have like a culture and a background, and that my parents actually taught me these things like growing up, and that's why like I respect my parents more, and like I can like relate to them on a different level, because I feel like if I didn't have those things, I wouldn't be able to, like if I didn't have like a culture that my parents were like proud of and they were exposing it to me like every day, then I don't know, I would be, like definitely have to assimilate and like feel like I 100% need to fit into this culture that doesn't even like kind of accept me in a way.
Having Sunday Night Meet community makes me feel like I belong with, I have coworkers, I have friends that I can share the common interests with, who are majority of the people happen to be Asian. Be a full-time photographer helped me, giving me the ability to be creative, incorporating our culture into my art and my work, our video, is to be able to give a voice back into people who generally I would put my head down and just move on and do my thing. But I think when everything's going on, everyone deserves to have a voice.